Martin had 5 catches for 65 yards and set a new all-time record for receiving yards.
You know, it feels real good, but I would, I would accept the playoff bid over the record any day.
John Tice hauled in this 7-yard pass for another first down on the initial possession. This was a 3rd and 5 play. But the drive ended at the 3, and Morton Anderson's 21-yard field goal made it 3-0, an 11-play, 64-yard drive. Brett Perriman grabbed this first quarter pass and turned it into a 38-yard gain to the Indianapolis 44. The quarter ended 3-0 Saints. The Colts tied it up with a bank shot field goal from Dean Biasucci from 41 yards out. It hit the upright and caromed in for 3. The Saints marched 87 yards in 14 plays, with Forcade hitting Hobie Brenner twice. This one good for 19 yards. A scrambling Forcade found Brett Perriman for 16 more and a first down at the 5 on a 3rd and 11 play. Then it was Eric Martin taking in this toss for the score. That made it 10-3 with Anderson's kick, and the Saints had a 7-point lead. Biasucci kicked a 23-yard field goal on the last play of the half, a 13-play, 80-yard drive, stopped by the clock, 10-6 at halftime. Third quarter action now, and watch this one. A great punt, 60 yards. Bobby Morris takes off, looking to his left, and watch number 40, Robert Massey. He'll get the handoff and reverse it for 54 yards to set up a score.
And when Bobby dipped in and back out and handed the ball off, they were all reading from what they saw me do. And I mean, I had the whole sideline, and I exploded up in there, and I looked and I said, I'm going to score. And then, like, I just started running, but not as hard. And then I looked up again, and I saw the punter there, and I said, oh, my God, he made the tackle.
The touchdown was scored by Dalton Hilliard, his 18th of the year from 7 yards out. It's 17-6 Saints. The 13th rushing TD of the year for Dalton. That tied a Saints record. End of the third quarter, it's 17-6 Saints.
First of all, it was just a great run by myself, and the offensive line did a great job. All year the guys been working hard and giving me the inside and outside cut. Stan Brock and Trapillo, having the guys secured, and myself able just to hide behind those guys, and the linebackers not being able to pick me up and just defeat the defensive back, and it was a good touchdown.
Fourth quarter action, and it's 4th down. John Forcade hitting Hobie Brenner all alone for a 30-yard touchdown. 10 plays, 61 yards on the drive, and it's 24-6 Saints.
Was that the easiest touchdown you ever scored?
It turned out at the end, but at the start it was probably the roughest. I got hammered at the line of scrimmage by Chip and the defensive end, and I was so late getting off that ball that I think that's what happened.
Saints marching again. Forcade to Perriman. Good for a first down. This one good for 15 yards. Perriman had 5 catches for 87 yards. This one 3rd and 11. Forcade scored the touchdown to cap an 8-play, 47-yard drive, weaving his way to the end zone. 31-6 Saints on this Anderson point after. The kick was Morton's 100th point of the year. The first time the Saints have had 2 players score 100 in a season. Dalton Hilliard went over 100 last week. A new Saints record for interceptions. A total of 37 was set when Dave Waymer picked this one off at the 44. Ironically, his number.
I'm just playing deep middle, and he tried to bend a seam inside, and I think our guys up front forced him out and made him throw it a little early, and I stepped right in front of the guy and made the pick.
You keep the ball?
Of course.
Anderson kicked another field goal, this one from 29, and the Saints never trailed. It's 34-6 at this point. The final score was Toy Cook's 63-yard return of this interception, the second of the day for the Saints defense, and the final 41-6 Saints.
He threw it out there, and then it was just me catching the ball and getting up the sidelines and out running rising, which what Massey told me I did. But I just wanted to get into the end zone, do the prime time, then a little Gary Clark, and then I got tackled. But I think it was a fitting, it was a fitting way to end the game. Getting blasted by my own game.
The Benson Boogie went to a high-tech motorized helmet to celebrate a winning season. 9-7, but no playoffs.
I guess that's the good news, bad news situation. We're dressed for the holidays here with our red and green, and Jim, it was a great way to end the season, and heck, I don't think there's a fan in Saintsdom that wouldn't want another week or 2 of this. It's really been going good.
Yeah, I think all the coaches and players would like to be playing some more too. Things are going good for us now, and you hate to see it end when you're playing so well and on a roll.
it's you've got to have one of the hottest football teams in the National Football League right now, peaking perhaps at the end when you should. It's unfortunate the early part of the year was really the reason why you're not going somewhere right
Well,
now.
not necessarily. You know, we could have still won the rest of our games after being 1-4. I think the two tough losses for us were the Ram game, the second Ram game, and then that Detroit game. And of course, you know, you go back to any loss and you say, had we have won that one, it would have made a difference. And those early ones were tough too, or bad, you know, bad losses
so many
too.
close calls. I mean, one play here, one play there, it can make the difference.
You know, you make your own bed and you got to sleep in it. I don't, you know, hey, we just got to win more games to get to the playoffs. But I like the way we finished, and this team, these last 3 games, I think really showed a lot about our football team and our organization, and it was a great way to win with these last 3 games, especially the people we beat. We beat 3 good football teams.
You've always been a coach that says that the more players you have, the better players you have, the better. If you've got 3 or 4 running backs, if you have 2 quarterbacks, that sort of thing. I'd like you to comment a bit about the quarterback situation. I know there's a lot being made of it right now, and yet it's better to have 2 guys that can play, or 3 if you can get 3.
Well, you know, depth is such an important factor. I think a team that's got the best record in the National Football League right now, the San Francisco 49ers, have outstanding depth. They've got a bunch of starters that haven't played. I think when we played them, they had 4 defensive starters. When we played them on the Monday night game, they had 4 defensive starters that didn't play in the game, and they beat us 31-13. So you've got to have depth. And when Bobby was struggling there, you know, for a while, and offensively we were struggling, we were able to put a guy like John in the game and start him these last 3 games. And I didn't realize John would do as well as he would do. I think he was a surprise to all of us. We were hoping he would do well, and we thought he would do well, but not nearly as well as he did. So to have him come in and perform like he did these last 3 games was, of course, a real plus for our football team, and you know, it's encouraging for the future too.
No doubt about that. It's time to name our offensive player of the game, and from last week, the Philadelphia Eagles game, we named Eric Martin, number 84. This week, we've gone with the tight end, number 85, Hobie Brenner from Southern Cal. He caught the 30-yard touchdown pass, but he also had a lot of other big catches. You'll take a look at the 30-yard pass. And he'll receive, of course, as our offense and defensive players of the week always do, the Raymond's money clip, the 14-karat gold money clip with his number and his initials. Number 85, Hobie Brenner, the offensive player of the week. The offensive player of the week is brought to you by Toyota.
Toyota trucks are built for the long haul. In fact, 4 out of 5 Toyota trucks ever sold in America are still on the road. That's tough. Now here's even more remarkable news. Save over $700 on popular options on America's most popular trucks, even before you make your deal. Your Toyota dealer has a good supply of 4x4s, 2-wheel drives, long beds, and extra cabs in stock now. See your Toyota dealer today for a remarkable deal on a remarkable Toyota truck.
For anyone with places to go, there's only one place to go first. Reach for radiophone at the Cellular and Paging Store. Get complete cellular and paging service, equipment, sales, and installation. Only the best. Guaranteed. Only from radiophone. When you're ready to start going places, come to the Cellular and Paging Store.
He's back.
It's the Mercury Cat.
That'll jingle your bells.
What's in the bag, Cat?
Lincoln Mercury has something for everyone this week. Great year-end deals on everything in stock.
On Lincoln's?
And Mercury's?
On Sable, on Topaz, on Cougar and Blitzen.
Blitzen? Any toys in here, Cat?
Nah, that's somebody else's bag.
For a great year-end deal, come into your Lincoln Mercury dealer today.
Thursday at 7, WGNO presents the Liberty Bowl, one of college football's most prestigious events. The 31st Liberty Bowl features the high-powered wishbone attack of the Air Force Academy Falcons against the aerial assault of the Ole Miss Rebels and their record-setting quarterback, John Darnell. Don't miss any of the pageantry and excitement of one of the most elaborate halftime shows of the Holiday Bowl season. It's the 31st Liberty Bowl, live from Memphis, Tennessee, Thursday night at 7 on WGNO 26.
Welcome back to the show, everyone. We're in the Saints offices in the Superdome. Jim Finks, President and General Manager, joins us now, and we'd like to both wish you a very Merry Christmas and Happy Holiday season on this Christmas Day. Jim, you were going to meet with Paul Tagliabue. I think that flight was canceled out of Buffalo or whatever, but maybe you can tell us what you'll be doing with the league and in the future with the National Football League.
The meeting you're referring to, Larry, was a competition committee meeting that I was going to have with Paul, not the entire committee, but just myself. they've asked me to be the chairman of this committee, and this committee deals with everything pertaining to the playing of the game, starting with the officials, roster size, rules changes, rule interpretations, and everything that it has to do on the playing of the game. And Paul, being new in the business, I think wanted to visit with me in New York, and I'm going to go in 2 days from today and have a meeting. But the committee's comprised of Paul Brown, Don Shula, Marty Schottenheimer, and the most recent people that have gone on would be George Young from the Giants, Bill Polian from Buffalo, and Tom Flores from Seattle. So we have a 7-man committee now.
Of course, one of the major items I'm sure that'll be discussed when you're chairing that committee or being in that committee will be the instant replay once again.
Yeah.
And I'd like to maybe have your comments on that. You know, this year we've had 2 particular plays that could have made the difference in a playoff or not.
Yeah, that's true, Larry. Instant replay, the idea is wonderful. You know, the idea of being able to correct a call that could cost you a ball game. But I wonder if all the baggage that you have with that, the delay in the games, the confusion, whether it's really worth it or not. But having said that, I voted for it for the last 3 times, and I want to hear everybody else's ideas and opinions before I tell you how I feel about it. And that's basically what this committee does. It looks at every aspect of it, the good and the bad, and then make recommendations.
Do you foresee perhaps a larger roster size possibly?
I don't think so, no. I think 47 men playing 45 in a development squad, I think this is an ideal situation. The coaches constantly wanted more practice players. They've got 6 additional practice players now, and they've got spots for 2 injured guys that can't play, so I think this is a ideal size roster.
Looking at this team in 1989, the New Orleans Saints, now getting back to your other hat, president of this football team, we had great expectations, all of us, the media, the fans, the president, I'm sure, and the head coach. It was a disappointing year. Maybe you can comment, give us an overview of what you see, maybe a silver lining in this 1989 season.
I have not seen this football club outclassed at all this year. I think the closest to being outclassed was the Monday night game in San Francisco when they beat us, I think, very handily. Every other game that we played, we could have won. The Redskin game, the 49er game here, certainly the Ram game, where I think that we outplayed those teams for the most part. We can't finish. We couldn't finish this year, and I think that's something this club has to learn to do. I'm not discouraged at all. We're disappointed, obviously. Our goals now are a lot higher than they were in 1986. As you pointed out earlier before this program, that a winning season was what we were striving for in '86. That's not good enough now. We've got to get up and play with the big boys with a chance to win the championship.
1990 and a whole new decade, and do you foresee maybe a realignment that maybe the Saints wouldn't be with the 49ers and the Rams in 1990, somewhere in that decade?
Larry, I think yes, but I think realignment will come after expansion. And our league is going to add 2 and maybe 4 teams. Then I think you'll see a realignment based more on geography than we have right now. It doesn't make sense, to me at least, for the Phoenix Cardinals to be playing against the Giants and the Eagles and the Redskins. I'd prefer to see the Saints, as an example, in a southern division with maybe Houston, Tampa, Miami, Atlanta, certainly Atlanta. And I think you'll see that in the 90s.
I think that would help a lot in ticket sales. You'd have fans traveling back and forth to a lot of the ball games. We have certain fans going to Atlanta, but now you'd be able to go to Tampa Bay, Houston, and vice versa. You'd have
certain fans. You know how many people we get?
20,000, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, between 15 and 20,000 of our fans go to Atlanta, and the same thing applies. Not quite as many, but when Atlanta plays here in New Orleans, we get a tremendous turnout.
Looking ahead now to 1990, and these are questions that are so wide open, I don't know just how to approach them, but this football team, I know you want to improve the football team in every aspect, so I don't want to point out in one particular aspect, but what are some of the areas perhaps of concentration? Defense, I guess, is always a premium for cornerbacks. Offense, you're always looking for the big linemen. I think that's been your history. But maybe you can kind of generally tell us what you would like to see this football team do in 1990.
I think, Larry, one of the first things we do is to reaffirm our goals and get on the same page as to not only where we can improve, but what we can do on the field in coaching, in strategy. Are we doing that right? Then I think we get into the personnel. Is the personnel that we have good enough? Are they committed enough? And once we make those decisions, then I think we have to address the draft and what's available there, and have a good off-season program, which we've always had. I don't see a great deal wrong with what we're doing right now. Obviously, it's not good enough, and we're not going to accept anything other than the best from everybody. But I don't look for any major overhaul of this team. The one thing we're concerned about is Plan B again. And even though we have not officially been notified, we're assuming that we'll have Plan B, and that means that we can only protect 37 players, and we'll be subject to lose, like we did last year, 6 or 7 players.
Did the media make too much out of what your comments were? I think to the, I think it was the quarterback club about Ironhead not playing and this guy not playing or that guy not doing this, whatever. They felt like there was a difference between you and Jim Mora's philosophy.
That was a response to a question, and this was a game that we'd played when Dalton carried the ball 30-some times, and somebody asked me, don't we have anybody else on the team other than Dalton to carry the football? And I said, yes, we do, Craig Hayward, and I'm waiting for him to carry the ball just like many of you are. And then they seized upon that. But very frankly, I don't know whether Craig can play now or not. I still like watching him practice. I think he's a good athlete. I think he works hard in practice. But I don't think he's played enough here in 2 years to really evaluate him as an athlete.
Welcome back to the studio, everyone. I'd like to maybe address the Plan B situation. Do you look to try to get veteran players as opposed to, say, rookie players through the draft? You'll have the draft, but Plan B is another option for you.
As far as acquiring new players?
Right.
Yeah, I think that if, last year we didn't take a very active part in Plan B. We went out and we brought some players in for workouts and tryouts. We ended up signing 3. One of them made our team. That was Walter Johnson. It depends how aggressive we are in Plan B as far as going out and try to get players. I think that our approach, and Jim and I really haven't sat down and discussed it in detail yet, but knowing how we both feel, I think that we would be go more after the younger players, the young good players, if they're out there. If we took an aggressive approach in trying to sign some players in Plan B.
All right. Time to name our Defensive Player of the Week. Last week we named Frank Warren in the Philadelphia Eagles game. Each of our offensive and defensive players will receive the gold money clip, as you see there, from Raymond's Jewelers at 4041 Williams Boulevard. This week our defensive standout was number 41, Toy Cook. Now you'll see the big play here, the interception for 63 yards, but he also had 5 tackles. He also defensed a pass, and of course scored a touchdown on this one. The former baseball player from Stanford, who has done an outstanding job as a cornerback in pro football with the New Orleans Saints. Number 41, Toy Cook, the Defensive Player of the Week with a 63-yard touchdown interception. The Defensive Player of the Week is brought to you by Taco Bell.
You know Taco Bell's original taco has a new low price? Oh, yeah! Well, now listen up. Now that tasty taco's just 49 cents. Hard to believe it's only 49 cents. Full of ground beef for 49 cents. And topped off with lettuce and cheese. Make a run for the border.
Remember, we always have low prices on our value menu at Taco Bell.
Everywhere you look in New Orleans, you see the signs of a city in love with life. A city with a special character all its own. Taking pride in what's uniquely ours. The Whitney.
When you get hurt in a car accident, what you need is your check, and fast.
We got ours in 2 weeks.
1 week. 3 weeks. I'm attorney Mora and I get someone a check every day. If you've been hurt in a car accident and haven't gotten your check yet, call me. I've helped thousands collect millions.
Call 525-8000. Out of town, call collect. Call 525-8000 anytime, day or night.
If you haven't gotten your check yet, call me. I'm attorney Mora and I'm on your side.
Guess which New Orleans television station Chris Jackson and the LSU Tigers take off on this season? It's WGNO 26, bringing New Orleans the most comprehensive local NCAA basketball coverage ever. The Tulane Green Wave, the UNO Privateers, and the LSU Tigers all play here. WGNO rules New Orleans basketball. Hoop to hoop.
Normally during this time we take questions from the fans. We call it Gatorade Ask the Coach. We want to give you that address one more time. This is it here. Ask the Coach, the Jim Mora Show, Suite 2800, World Trade Center, New Orleans, 70130. Get those cards and letters in quickly. We only have a few days remaining. Our final show will draw for the tickets to the Super Bowl with Huddles coming in here to draw those. Jim, I'd like maybe to comment about this 9-7 season, kind of a roller coaster ride, kind of highs and lows, and I guess to really have a successful year, you want to make the playoffs, and you certainly don't want to get away from those peaks and valleys type things. You want to have more of a consistency, I guess. I'd like you to maybe comment about that.
Well, I don't know what you mean by peaks and valleys. You know, when you win a game, it's a peak, and when you lose a game, it's a valley. So, and you're not going to win them all, and you're not going to lose them all. So you're going to have some peaks and valleys because you're going to win some and you're going to lose some. I think what hurt us was the bad start. You know, we get off to a 1-4 start, and that doesn't leave you much margin for error the rest of the season if you're going to get into the playoffs or even have a winning season. Now, we ended up winning 8 out of our last 11, which is good. But we battled back and got to a point where we had a shot, you know, and then we lost that Ram game here in the last couple minutes in overtime, and then we lost the very next week to Detroit, and that really put us in the hole as far as the playoffs were concerned. But the good thing was that our team did battle back after knowing they were out of the playoffs and beat 3 real good teams, 2 of which are going to the playoffs. One is a division champion, one is a wild card, and we knocked the Colts out of the playoffs yesterday by beating them. So I think, as I said earlier, it showed a lot of character by our football team and the fact that we've got good people, and they continue to play hard, which you know, I think they should anyway, but some teams don't once they're out of something. They don't feel like they have anything to play for, and yet my philosophy is whenever you go out there, you got to compete to do your best to win, whether it's a playoff game, non-playoff game, or whatever.
All right, that's the real professional attitude, the professional way of doing things for the players and the coaches. We'll be back with some final comments right after this.
You got a thirst.
Give me the ball, give me the ball, give me the ball.
You know what you need.
Give me the ball.
Fluids and minerals fast.
Give me the ball.
Energy for hard-working muscles.
Gatorade.
Nothing's better. Give me some of that Gatorade.
He's back. It's the Mercury Cat.
That'll jingle your bells.
What's in the bag, Cat?
Lincoln Mercury has something for everyone this week. Great year-end deals on everything in stock.
On Lincolns? And Mercury's?
Sable on Topaz on Cougar and Blitzen.
Blitzen? Any toys in here, Cat?
Nah, that's somebody else's bag.
For a great year-end deal, come into your Lincoln Mercury dealer today.
I love what you do for me, Toyota.
When Toyota dominated the latest light-duty truck customer satisfaction ratings, some people weren't at all surprised. How does 4Runner rate in customer satisfaction?
Toyota's #1.
Toyota vans?
#1.
Toyota Land Cruiser?
#1.
Toyota pickups?
#1.
Proving what we do for you, we do better than anyone else.
I love what you do for me, Toyota.
Hey, Vern, I see you having another one of your little fancy parties. Vern, I'm amazed that you could even afford one of these swanky soirees, especially with that old heat pump of yours. Heat pump, schmeat pump. Vern, natural gas is a whole lot cheaper for heating your home, and if you switch to a gas heater right now, you can afford to serve full-size hot dogs. And remember, Vern, heat pumps are for weenies. Know what I mean? Superb.
We'd like to remind everyone we do have another show next week, a season in review. We'll look back over the 1989 season. I know Jim Mora, the staff, the players, and all of us would like to keep playing. Unfortunately, the season is over for the Saints. We can look forward to 1990. We want to wish everyone a very merry holiday season. I've got my 2 young ones here. Let's come over here very quickly, Kristen. She's got her Saints doll and umbrella, and we've got my son Daniel, and they'd like to wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year as well. And Jim, a Happy New Year to you in 1990. We'll look forward to talking to you about that season in review next week.
Okie doke.
We'll look forward to that.
That'd be great.
All right. We'll be back next week with that season in review, so stay with us for that next week, and we're going to say bye to everybody, and you can wave bye-bye now. All right, right over here, too.
The Jim Moore Show has been brought to you by Toyota. Who could ask for anything more? By Gatorade for that deep down body thirst. By Taco Bell, make a run for the border. And by Lincoln Mercury, where quality is job one.
Season's greetings from WGNO 26.